Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the session. And we're really excited to have you in this Six and Flow session on how to deliver best in class experiences, of course, presented alongside our partners over at Fivetran. Now, we've been waiting a long time to get this session over to you, and I'm sure you're ready to get started as well. But before we do, I have one quick piece of housekeeping feedback. You will notice that there is a live chat available. Uh, Anytime throughout the session, we have members of the Six and Flow team alongside the Fivetran team available as well. So if you do have any questions or are just interested in anything that you've seen as we continue talking through the session, please feel free to fire those along. And of course, the teammates, myself, and Tony will be happy to answer any questions that come up along the way. Now, with that said, let's get into the session. And of course, we've got to start with some quick introductions on our side. So, my name is Ravi, Senior Systems Architect over at Six and Flow, and I'm very excited to be your guide today as we start to talk about how we exactly deliver these best-in-class customer experiences. Of course, I'm honored to be joined by my counterpart over at the Fivetran side, Tony Kelly, Senior Partner Sales Engineer. Both of us have been working in this space for quite a while now, and we're excited to bring our insights together and show you the art of the possible. What can be done when you start to use some more sophisticated tools like Fivetran to help manage your data. Now, going into what we have planned for you today, and just to level set what exactly we're talking about. When we're talking about building best-in-class customer experiences, we're really talking about the data side of things. So this will be a little bit more of a technical session that we've got going on for you. When we're talking about the data, we're talking about the different systems that you have that you're using in your business today. As time goes on in 2023 and beyond, there's so many awesome technologies like HubSpot, like Fivetran, like Snowflake, and some whole bunch of others as well, each with their own database. And the problem is it creates a lot of data silos that we'll start looking at a little bit more going forward as well. Fivetran is one of those innovative technologies that will help you manage data across all the systems that you're using and ultimately help you build better customer experiences. So, to that end, on our agenda today, the first thing we'll be starting off with is an overview of Fivetran itself, who the company is and what the company does, how the platform works for you, so you can see it fitting into your business. Once we get the overview of Fivetran, we'll move into the application, events, and file connectors. And afterwards, shortly, we'll start to talk about high volume database connectors, what those are, and what it does for your business as well. Once we've gone through Fivetran and we give you guys a little bit better of an understanding of what that looks like, we'll start to talk about Six and Flow, who we are, what we do if you don't know already, and how we can help you bring together your technologies like HubSpot, like Fivetran, like Sage, and a whole bunch of others as well to create better customer experience, more aligned go-to-market motions, and ultimately help you start 2023 off on the right foot. And finally, we'll get into a little bit more of the practical side of things, where we'll show you how quick and easy it is to connect your different databases using Fivetran, and some of the other things that Six and Flow can help you set up with your business as well. And again, we're super excited to have Fivetran here with us, and it is something that really is better together. 2023 is the year of partnerships, and we're so excited to be able to present this session alongside Fivetran, who is one of the best partners of 2023, and I'm sure 2023 as well. In 2022, I'm proud to say that they are Data Integration Partner of the Year for Snowflake, Google, and Databricks. Some really heavy hitting and really high status data warehousing and data lake solutions in the industry, and something that if you're not using for your business, you should definitely check out as well, but something that will help you manage your data across the different systems that you're using. And of course, over here at Six and Flow, if you don't know us already, we are an elite HubSpot partner. We're one of 20 HubSpot strategic launch partners and one of their advanced implementation partners as well. HubSpot has a ton of certifications and training programs available, and chances are we've done them all and we've got all the certificates under our belt. So if you do need help with HubSpot, happy to chat to you a little bit more later in the session about what we can do for you as well. We're also proud to announce that we are the #1 global independent HubSpot partner in 2021. And although the 2022 results haven't come out quite yet, we are quite sure we'll get there too. But enough about us. Let's talk about why we're here. And again, it goes back to the question we talked about before. How do we create best-in-class customer experiences? Really, the way to do that, and what we're talking about today, is about connecting databases and centralizing data. Doesn't sound so sexy, right? But really, it's one of the most important pieces of your business and something you should really be thinking about as fundamental and core to what you're doing, again, in 2023 and setting up for your strategy beyond. Data is the lifeblood of your business. And what we're talking about today is how we can connect your databases and centralize data in a tailored HubSpot platform, really to gain deeper insights on your customers and on your prospects, of course, and ultimately help you accelerate growth in 2023. Now, I'll turn it over to my colleague Tony to talk a little bit more about Fivetran, who they are, what they do, and give himself a quick introduction so we can get a little bit more familiar with the tool and how we can start to use it to centralize your data. Tony?
Hello. Fivetran was founded 10 years ago, and we now have more than 5,500 customers around the world. Just recently, we went over 1,000 employees. We're currently syncing 939 billion rows of data every month, and we focus on all industries from small businesses right up to large enterprises. Since we started 10 years ago, we've been an industry leader in powering data movement, usually in three major use cases. First, and it's what we're mostly known for, thousands of customers trust us to move data from their cloud-native tools to power their business analytics. Think about marketing, finance, sales, and all those other analytic projects. Last year, we acquired HVR, the industry leader in high-volume database replication. We've been busy merging the two technologies, and we now support some of the largest enterprises with high-volume, low-impact data movement to run their entire business. Finally, we have our Powered by Fivetran solution, a white labeling of our pipelines to bring in customer data into your own product or application. Regardless of the use case, our reference architecture at a high level looks the same. We connect your data sources and move that data into your cloud destination or targets. But our approach to data movement is, as you can see, so much more than just moving it from one system to the next. And it's why we're the modern standard of data movement. We're including as much automation, scale, and security as possible along the way to allow you to truly let go of all the work associated with building and managing data pipelines. Fivetran's automation allows your team to focus on insights instead of ELT. Let's take a look at the process itself. It's really throughout the extract, load, and transform process where you see the uniqueness of our offering, because we just automate the whole process. It starts with the data sources themselves. We have hundreds of pre-built, fully managed connectors that support every major department team in business. After you authenticate into your source, often with a single click, we start extracting data. For all connectors, this begins with an initial historical sync of all your data that exists in your source. This initial historical sync is free of charge for any data sources, so you can get all the data you need right out of the box. And all of these connectors, with the exception of a few file connectors, use change data capture, or CDC, which provides low impact, high volume data replication. As your team grows and changes tools, you can add new connectors in just minutes with our out-of-the-box deployability, and none of this will require engineering resources as they're all set up code-free. But it's not just automation working behind the scenes. We also have a large team of engineers building and maintaining all these pipelines. Because APIs are constantly evolving, our connectors are proactively being updated on the back end by our engineering team to keep up with all new objects, field changes, and more, so you and your team don't have to. And that automation continues through our load process. After the initial load, we scan for incremental updates using system columns for applications or transaction logs for database sources. As a result, you've got the freshest data always available, but without having to do any manual intervention and without having to reload that data every time, which can be costly as well as time consuming. Behind the scenes, as the data is moving, we're normalizing the data into schemas in your destination. We'll handle the schema creation process, including data type mapping and underlying table creation. We'll also manage any schema drift that may occur, such as creating new custom objects from the data source or simply changing a data type as we read a change in the source. Again, this level of automation is really what makes us unique. We're bringing that same automation to transformations. Once loaded into your destination, you can then trigger transformations via dbt. We have pre-built models for many of our major connectors and integrated scheduling that triggers only when new data is loaded, so your transformations are up to date and ensure your data is business ready. And our automation doesn't stop with just the movement of data. When it comes to what data is being loaded, protecting personally identifiable information, and scaling user management, all of that is automated through Fivetran features like metadata API, column blocking and hashing, and role-based access. With these, your modern data stack is fully governed, even with data in flight. Now with over 200 connectors, if there isn't a connector we support natively, we have generic connectors that allow us to get data from many different sources. As long as there is some way to get the data out of that source, whether that's by an email or a download, well then 99% of the time, we can get it for you in an automated manner. Scale your analytics and operations to new heights with high volume, low impact data movement. Scale isn't just about the number of sources we support, but also the speed at which we can move data from those sources. We know that many larger teams, once they have the modern data stack in place, are looking to make it go faster. Because we use change data capture for the majority of our SaaS connectors, you can move analytic data at real-time speed, getting as low as a 5-minute guaranteed sync frequency. And if you're looking to move high volumes of operational data from your major database sources, our high volume agent connectors are really pushing the envelope when it comes to high volume, low impact data movement. The speed at which we can move your data allows your team to scale and make more decisions faster. If you have a need for a high volume database replication, we've also taken the time to create an agent to facilitate that throughput so that we can handle these higher volumes while minimizing the impact on your database. There's a couple of key benefits of using this agent. Firstly, it does allow for significantly higher throughput. So if you're looking to sync speeds at in excess of 10 megabits per second, then we highly recommend you use our high volume agent. Using the agent also has the benefit of encrypting and compressing the data at source, so before it leaves to get to your cloud destination. And finally, then the agent also allows for true distributed architecture. You may have a client that's using multiple databases, potentially even in different locations. Installing the agent at each one of those locations allows the workload to be balanced. Finally, we take the security of your data very seriously. We've earned the most security, governance, and compliance certificates of any cloud-based ELT platform. We also have a business critical plan with a few additional security features if you're looking for even more. It's this unique combination of automation, scalability, and security that makes us truly unique in the market. And it's why we continue to be the clear choice for data movement across industries, use cases, and customers. One of my favorite anecdotes to demonstrate this is Salesforce. We're currently managing thousands of pipelines just for Salesforce. So we're seeing just about every iteration of how somebody is managing their Salesforce instance and how they're using that data. You couldn't go and hire a team that has as much experience in just Salesforce as our team does. Behind all this automation, scale, and security is a team of people that make it look so effortless. We have hundreds of engineers building and maintaining your pipeline. We have a huge documentation team building out ERDs and updating documents regularly. And we have an in-house security team diligently keeping up with the latest certification requirements. All this automation, scalability, and security with an incredible amount of reliability and support. We have over 250 engineers ensuring your data is where it needs to be when you need it to be, with a 99.9% platform uptime, syncing massive amounts of data and maintaining an incredible number of sources for more than 5,500 customers. So what makes Fivetran different? Automatic data updates. This is accurately updating the relevant rows in the destination automatically every time. Automatic schema migrations. When a new field or table gets added in the source, most commonly in databases and applications with custom fields, then these automatically get added to the destination. Automated recovery from failure. In the case of a sync interruption, for example, an API outage or a database connection issue, Fivetran saves the last successful sync state and starts from there again to guarantee data integrity. Microbatch architecture. Fivetran optimizes API calls and queries used to extract data to lower the overall load on a source system during historical syncs. Slowly changing type 2 dimension data. This retains the full history of values. When a value of a chosen column changes, the current record is maintained and a new record is created with the changed data values. Extensible cloud functions. After writing an API call, Fivetran handles figuring out where to place the data in the destination and then re-trigger the call.
Thanks so much for that walkthrough, Tony. It was a lot of great information, and I hope you guys are excited as I am about the possibilities of Fivetran and how you can connect your data together. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more and show you exactly what this looks like and how easy it is to use, because I know it was a lot of information. But before we get into that, we have to talk about Six and Flow just a little bit here. So we've already talked about how great we are as a elite HubSpot partner, one of 20 HubSpot strategic launch partners, all that good stuff. But what you may not know is that we are a global agency as well. Although our headquarters is based in Manchester in the UK, we have Londons across the world. Yes, in London, but also Toronto and Dublin as well, with a team that's distributed around the world too. Basically meaning wherever you are in the world, we've got you covered. We are the #1 global independent HubSpot partner in 2021, which we're super proud of. And we are part of the HubSpot Partner Advisory Council too, which is to say, we're kind of a big deal in the HubSpot ecosystem. Now, ultimately, we support high growth clients in the manufacturing, B2B tech, and SaaS space across HubSpot CRM, implementations, marketing and sales strategy, integrations, and a lot more as well. We're also proud to work with some of the best and brightest in the business, whether it's Drift for chat, live chat, and more, HubSpot as the CRM and marketing automation platform of choice, Fivetran for your data, ELT, and database connection needs, Aircall for your customer communication needs, and a whole bunch of other fantastic software platforms. We've got expertise in a lot of different systems, and we're happy to help in case you do have any questions or any requirements around them as well. We're also fortunate to work with some of the best clients in the business too. Not only software platforms like Diary and Drift, but across different industries too, whether it's hospitality and tourism, insurance, software, supply, manufacturing. We've got expertise in a lot of different areas, and we've helped clients bring their best game alongside HubSpot too. Now, ultimately, and going back to the whole point of this session and what we're talking about with our partners over at Fivetran, what we want to help you do is to experience the benefits of high quality CRM. But to do that, the data needs to come at the right cadence from the right sources. If you've managed any kinds of software platforms at all, especially software platforms that don't talk to each other, the data silos are a nightmare. Trying to get data from one place to another, copying CSVs, Excel files, or even just manually back and forth. It's a big time sink. It creates data inconsistencies, and ultimately that prevents you from creating good customer experiences and even just piles up the admin, which prevents you from running your business the way that you want it to. So the old way, and the way that you're probably used to, is what we see on the left, a point-to-point and event-based integration. Typically speaking, when we're talking about software, we're talking about piecing it in one at a time. You start with a platform like Salesforce for your CRM. And of course, Salesforce is wonderful at CRM, but it doesn't really have a marketing function. So then you have to pull in a marketing platform, like HubSpot, for example. But then wait, you don't have a customer success platform. How do you connect? How do you collect information on cases? How do you connect to support reps? So, of course, you get a platform like Zendesk. And then on and on, you'll need a platform for finance. You'll need another platform for marketing. You'll need another platform for customer support. And the list grows and grows and grows. Your tech stack grows and grows and grows. And each piece of software that you bring on has its own database that exists independently of the others, creating a data silo. So, of course, what do? You build an integration, right? You use the open APIs and you connect the databases to one another. And that's great when your tech stack is small, when you've only got two, three, maybe four systems together that each have their own unique functions. But what happens when you start to use advanced integrations? What happens when your tech stack continues to grow, or you try to plug into other systems that may not have databases structured in the same way? Well, that's when your data schema and your data diagram starts to look like this on the left. Just a tangled web and a tangled mess of integrations and data flying back and forth. The problem with this side is that there's no data primacy. You don't know which system is the system of record. And although you think it might be something like Salesforce or CRM, it depends on the data that's being held, and it depends on the team that's accessing it. And ultimately, you don't know whether you can even trust that data to use to communicate with your customers, to report to your finance team, or to do anything really that you need to do to grow your business. This is the way that we've been used to growing up until now. It's even the way that us at Six and Flow were kind of doing things before for our own business. But then along comes a better way with ELT and reverse ETL solutions too. And what does that look like? Well, a little bit more like the diagram on the right. Instead of having a tangled web of integrations coming at you each which way, having data flying over here, over there, to the left, to the right, up and down, and having to keep track of all these different point-to-point integrations, we've simplified it down using ETL and reverse ETL solutions as well, like Fivetran. Now, again, what does this mean? When we're using a point-to-point, event-based, API-based integration from the left-hand side and we have a tangled web, it also becomes very brittle, very easy to break, and hard to troubleshoot. So now, with the new way and what we've partnered with Fivetran on, is something that looks much more simple and much easier to maintain. Instead of having a tangled web of different integrations and data flying back and forth, we have a very simple map of what this looks like. One central system, which will be your data team or your data lake, connected to systems by ELT and reverse ETL solutions like Fivetran. And what does this mean? It means that every single system that you're using, HubSpot for marketing, your CRM, your finance system, your customer support system, on and on, they all pull from the same single database, which becomes your single source of truth. At the same time, they all push their information into that system as well, updating the fields as they need to be and making it available for the other systems in your tech stack. This way, there's no more data disparities. There's no more confusion about which is the right data, which is the data that we could trust. It all goes to one central place, one centrally managed place that's easy to keep track of, that's easy to maintain, and ultimately serves as a way to reduce the admin and reduce the burden associated with getting your systems to talk to each other. Fivetran is a key component of this, being able to extract data from the different systems that you're using, like HubSpot, as we'll show you today, and put it into your data warehouse that you're using. So again, a little bit more on what this looks like. This is where the ETL, reverse ETL data loop comes in. What we want to do is create a virtuous cycle of data. What will happen is that you've got your data warehouse as your golden goose, your source of truth, your system of record, and this is where all your data will live. Now, in this case, we'll use Snowflake as an example, as an industry-leading database. So Snowflake contains all of your data across all your different systems. But how does this work? What will happen is that Snowflake will be the source of the data that will go into your other systems. And to do that, we use another partner called HighTouch, which will extract the data out of Snowflake, transform it into a format that works for the system that you're using, and then push it in. So data will move from Snowflake through HighTouch into a system like HubSpot. And then in HubSpot, of course, you'll do your marketing activities. You'll send out emails, send out ads, nurture your clients. And as data gets updated in your HubSpot records, that will be extracted out through Fivetran using ELT extraction, um, put into the data warehouse, of course, in a format that's understood by Snowflake, and go back into the data lake, ready to be used again, pulled out through high touch and put into another system as well. Doing things this way, using the ETL, reverse ETL data loop, keeps everything right in line, keeps everything simple, keeps everything succinct, and makes sure the data is transformed and usable across all parts of the process. Ultimately, what you want to do is be able to grow better. And what we want to do is help you grow better with an all-in-one platform that allows you to deliver the best-in-class customer experiences. And that's why we've done so much work with HubSpot for ourselves, for other clients, and something that we're well equipped to help you with today as well. Ultimately, when we start to look at some of the data and some of the polling that's happened over the last couple of years, there's a lot of challenges in terms of gaining insights from data. The biggest one, and again, why we've even started to talk about this in the session today, is simply this: data is siloed and it's difficult to access. Based on an online survey of 158 marketers, this seems to very much be the case with almost half of them, saying that the data silo is the biggest problem preventing them from gaining the insights that they need to market more effectively and ultimately drive more business. And of course, there's a lot of other key considerations with this too. Not having the internal know-how or the capacity to extract those insights, not having enough data, maybe even having too much data and not knowing which ones are the right ones to look at. But even worse still is just not knowing how much data you have in general, especially hard to see when you have so many different systems and it's ones that you might not have access to in the first place. Because of all these challenges, it goes back to the old point-to-point system, all these different systems, data flying across every which way. It's hard to figure out where you should be looking, what data to trust, and of course, how to derive the insights from those as well. Now, ultimately, helpful marketing runs on two key engines: data and automation. Data is the stuff that provides the personalization. It helps you create the really unique and relevant message. And it could be anything really: purchase confirmation, troubleshooting message, an appointment reminder. The data is the lifeblood of your business and the important piece that's driving this personalization. On the other side, automation is what allows the marketers to achieve relevance at scale for every email address in their databases. And again, it's because of the data that you're able to do timely, unique, and relevant messages as well. Nothing worse than getting a message to service your car when you haven't had that car for 5 years, or a message that says, "Hey, John," when your name is definitely not John. Here's an example of good personalization and one that we love. Really, it's when a platform creates personalized recommendations or insights based on your product usage, interest, or other data as well. And Grammarly are the masters of this. They send a weekly writing update that's personalized and shares insights on your writing style, your tone, your word usage, and it also compares you to the averages and the benchmarks by all Grammarly users as well. Your weekly writing update that you can see here is a fantastic example of how you can use data to do some awesome personalization and get people really hooked in and engaged with you as a business and, of course, your platform as well. Of course, using data aggregated from various sources helps you to enrich your CRM. And ultimately, that helps you create better customer experience in the form of progressive forms too. Using data not only from your main CRM system or your main marketing automation system, but from the other systems that your customers are interacting with, helps you hide known fields. And ultimately, that makes the form shorter. And shorter forms, everybody loves. It prevents us from asking duplicate questions, especially across platforms, and it eliminates some of that inertia that comes alongside with filling out forms, whether it's to request a demo, get in touch with somebody, download a piece of content, sign up for a webinar. Filling out too many forms is quite frankly annoying. And I think we can all feel that, especially when you have to fill in the same information over and over and over. So once you have a clean, connected system with the data flowing across one way to the other across different systems, it makes it much easier to build those smooth client journeys and remove the friction from your process. We also enable better segmentation and targeting, and I think you can see how this works already. But really, enriching our data can help us provide the context sales and marketing teams need to personalize the buyer experience. Enriched data just makes it a lot easier for marketers to create audience segments based on commonalities like industry, employee count, other key attributes. Segmenting based on demographics or other commonalities is bread and butter for marketers, right? Ultimately, doing these segments help you deliver more personalized advertising, web experiences, and better lead nurturing as well. But you can only again do that when your data is trustable, your data is clean, and your data is coming in from the right sources. Of course, we've all been a victim of the inbox on the right, and I'm sad to say that is pretty normal. Emails addressed to Judy, wishing her happy holidays, or reminders to have her Subaru service, but this inbox isn't owned by somebody whose name is Judy, and it's not their Subaru. This is my inbox. And yes, these are real messages that came over in 2019. Pretty bad, right? This confluence of bad data, superficial personalization, it's a major turnoff. It hurts interactions with your brand. It takes away from your social capital. It's ultimately sloppy. And it's not something that people who are doing business with you or may do business with you in the future appreciate. So it's really, really important, as you can see, to get on top of your data, to make sure it's enriched, to make sure you can trust it, and ultimately to use it for good and not for evil like this bad data. And imagine the confusion, right, of receiving an email congratulating you on becoming a new parent, but you don't have any babies on the way. This is what happened, and this is a famous case, after Amazon accidentally sent out their baby registry email campaign and sent it to the wrong audience segment. When you have inaccurate or misinterpreted data, those data points can lead to bad segmentation and poorly received campaigns. So again, ultimately what we're talking about is how we can use systems like Fivetran and use the ELT process to extract data from your systems, whether it's your CRM, your e-commerce site, your finance system, or more. Load them and then transform them into a way that's understood by your data lake. And then from there, we can do a lot of powerful things by keeping your different systems in line and ultimately enable the trustworthy data and the analysis you need to really pull out the insights and grow your business. From here on, we'll start to show you exactly what this looks like from a connection standpoint and just how easy it is to get the data flowing across different systems as well. So again, I will turn this over to Tony to give us a quick overview of how Fivetran works and how to get things connected.
Okay, so let's now jump in and take a look at the demonstration on how to extract data from HubSpot using Fivetran. So here we've got my Fivetran dashboard. I've already logged into my Fivetran account and I'm using a Snowflake destination here for the purposes of this demo. So all I need to do is choose Add Connector, and then I'm going to pick the connector that I want to connect to from the list, and then click on Continue Setup. First thing we need to do is to give the destination schema a name in Snowflake. So I'm going to call it 6 and Flow HubSpot. And then all we have to do is to click on Authorize. When I click on Authorize, if I just flick a tab here to my HubSpot dashboard, I've already logged into HubSpot and provided those credentials to HubSpot. So because I've already provided the credentials from the Fivetran dashboard, all I simply need to do is to click on Authorize. And that will use those credentials that I've already provided, and then it'll connect to HubSpot using those credentials. So there we can see the credentials have been successfully authorized. We click on Save and Test. And then the next step is that Fivetran is going to use those credentials to log in and connect to the HubSpot API. Once we've successfully connected to the HubSpot API, we can click on Continue, and then the next step will be that Fivetran is going to use the API to retrieve the schema of all the tables and columns available to me. So here I can choose to sync all data, or I can choose specific columns to block or hash. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm not going to sync all the data. I'll just choose specific columns to sync. So Fivetran is now connecting to the HubSpot API and retrieving that schema so that I can pick and choose the tables and columns that I want to sync. So now Fivetran has successfully retrieved the schema for us to choose what data we want to sync. We can click on Review Connector Schema. In here, I've got a list of all 543 tables that are available to me to sync. I won't sync them all, but I will sync a few. Let's just pick a few at random here. And at this point, once you finish selecting the tables you need to sync, you can click on Save and Continue. Next, we're asked how we would like to handle schema changes. From here, we can choose the default, which allows all. In this case, if somebody adds a new table or column to the source, well, then that table or column will automatically get created in the destination. We can choose to restrict that to only allow columns, or we can choose to block all schema changes. Let's leave it as the default, allow all, and click Continue. And at this point, we're finished configuring the connection. All we need to do is click Start Initial Sync. So at this point now, we've kicked off that initial historical sync of all the data that exists in the HubSpot tables. If we could take a look at the user interface here at the top, we've got our logs for this connector. Here you can take a look at all of the API calls that we are making to the HubSpot connector. These logs are maintained for a period of 7 days, after which they get purged. However, we do have a free Fivetran log connector that you can use to extract and download these logs and save them permanently. Next on the menu, we have the schema. This is the list of tables and columns that we chose to sync. And then over here on the right, we have the setup for this connector, including the credentials we provided and also the sync frequency, which defaults to once every 6 hours. We can have a preview of the status so far. We can see it's still syncing the data here. I can flick over to the tab in Snowflake and just take a look at the destination. So we called our schema SAF HubSpot. We can see it doesn't exist here at the moment. If we go to refresh this, just do a refresh on the tab and then scroll back down, we should now hopefully see that SAF HubSpot schema exists and the tables have already begun to be synced in there. So that concludes our demonstration on how to extract data from HubSpot, sending it to Snowflake using Fivetran.
Thanks so much for that, Tony. And if you're sitting there and wondering, wait, 5, 6 minutes, is that really it? I'm here to tell you, and I'm so happy to tell you that yes, it really is that simple. Using Fivetran, just as Tony has shown, really can be a less than 10-minute process of getting your CRM or other system data aligned to your data lake. Now, I hope Tony's demonstration has shown you two things. Number one, that it doesn't have to be complicated. It is a super easy and simple system to be able to get your CRM, e-commerce, and other data aligned to your data lake. And number two, I hope it gets the gears turning in your head on how you can start to use this across your business, not only for your CRM or system of record, but across the other system you're using, your customer support systems, your phone systems, other data lakes you might be using too. There's so many different data silos that exist in the modern tech stack, and being able to bring them in line into a centralized data lake, your golden record, is such an important piece going forward to make sure that your data is aligned and that there are no missteps along the way. Now, of course, in 2023 and beyond, as your tech stack continues to grow in size and sophistication, you want to be able to make sure you have a partner who can grow alongside you. And Fivetran is definitely that partner. What we've seen is such a rapid growth in their number of integrations just in the last couple of months alone. as you continue to grow in size and scope of the systems that you're using and the different softwares for different aspects of your business. Fivetran will be there right alongside you to scale up and to be able to integrate any systems with your data lake, no problem at all. And in multiple different ways, all compliant, all secure, and all flexible as well, depending on the way you need to use. Now, moving back over to the Fivetran side, we do want to talk a little bit more about what Six and Flow can do to help you along with this. Fivetran itself, yes, super simple to get connected when we're talking about 1, 2, even 5 systems. Plugging in the details and getting all your data linked in, super simple on the surface. Now, of course, when we look at the dashboard and we go back, we can see, in my case, I've changed the sync frequency down to 5 minutes. And HubSpot itself is moving the data using Fivetran every 5 minutes, no question, as we're talking. We'll sync the data just to look at any schema changes, and of course, any field changes as well to update the data lake through Fivetran. Now, we're data nerds over here on our side, so we love to talk about data, and I can show you, of course, the contact tables, the data previews, and show you all the data that's coming in as well. But making a data change in HubSpot, showing it in Salesforce, although that stuff gets us excited, it's watching data move from point to point is about as exciting as watching paint dry. So we're going to spare you the pain. We're going to use our time a little bit more productively. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this, about how we get your different systems hooked into your data lake appropriately. Now, when it comes to point-to-point systems and point-to-point integrations, when we're talking one at a time, it's simple enough. You make an entity diagram, and then you get them linked together. Here's where Six and Flow can help. As your tech stack grows in size and complexity, as you're implementing HubSpot or bringing in new technologies to plug into your CRM, your marketing automation, and different aspects of your business too, this starts to get very unwieldy very quickly when we're talking about a lot of data silos and a lot of data moving together. I'll give you an example. With Six and Flow and our data consultancy, we've built an entity relationship diagram for a client who wanted to connect SAP and a couple of the systems as well. When we're talking about simple point-to-point integrations, it's an exercise that looks something like this. We take HubSpot, and then we take SAP, and we map out the different objects associated. HubSpot's got a couple main objects: contacts, companies, deals, and a few others like line items and quotes. And the exercise is to map them into the partner objects in SAP. So we've got contacts on HubSpot, contact persons in SAP, companies in HubSpot, company info in SAP, deals and opportunities, so on and so forth. Once we map those objects together, then we map the fields and make sure that the data is moving in the right direction and we establish primacy in the systems. From a point-to-point standpoint and from a simple A to B integration, this works great. This is simple and this makes a lot of sense. But what if you have 3 systems, 5 systems, 7 systems or more where you want the data in line? Now your entity relationship diagram starts to look a lot more complicated. Not only do you have one-to-one mapping of fields, but you have multiple fields across different systems that do the same thing. First name, phone number, address, and all maybe potentially even in different formats. So starting to sort through that data becomes a nightmare. And of course, knowledge tends to be siloed as well, with expertise within your business, within different systems, holding those entity relationship diagrams somewhere, whether it's in their heads or just written down on a piece of paper. So this is where Six and Flow can come in and help, not only on implementing HubSpot, not only on helping you get marketing and sales up to where it needs to be to create those great experiences functionally through an amazing HubSpot system, great integrations, and of course the content that you need to be able to market out there effectively, sell out there effectively. Yes, it's all driven by HubSpot, but more importantly, when we get your data in line and talking about RevOps is where the next phase of growth comes from and becomes so much more important to create those excellent customer experiences. So rather than looking at something on the left, the point-to-point integration, where we can start to help is consulting and mapping out your data, not only the data structure itself, but the data primacy, the data cleansing, the data fields that need to be mapped across, not only from 2 systems, but 5 systems or 10 systems, however many it needs to be. We can help you map out an ERD that looks more authentic for your business and helps you understand the flow of data, not only for HubSpot and your marketing or sales automation platforms, but across your different systems like SAP for your enterprise planning, Xero for your invoicing, Zendesk for your customer support. Show you the flow of data, show you the field mappings that need to be done, and help you establish primacy between all your different systems. And of course, ensure that the data is flowing not only from your systems into your data lake, but from your data lake back into the systems at the frequency you need to make sure everything is lined up across all your different systems and across your different silos as well. Now, conceptually, it is a pretty simple exercise, right? Matching fields to different fields and then just making sure all the data is in a format that makes sense. But when it comes to looking at something like this, it might give you a little bit of pause. When we're looking at Excel files with a whole bunch of different data, a whole bunch of different phone numbers, data in different formats, longitudes and latitudes, it can become unwieldy very quickly. But again, this is where Six and Flow can come in and help. Not only to take this and to turn it into something that's more digestible like this, a simple field mapping diagram that helps you understand which fields need to go where and what the primacy is. But again, taking all of this information across all your different systems, putting into a format that you can understand at a glance, and then of course, making this reality. So not only is your data living in silos, you don't have 5 different databases all doing the same thing, but you've got one connected, sophisticated, and secure system that has all your data in line across your different platforms. This is what helps you drive those amazing customer experiences. And with us at Six and Flow, and of course our partners at Fivetran, we can help you map out this journey from A to Z, from implementing your systems, making sure they're all integrated and talking to each other properly, making sure that your data is synced across the systems and feeding in at the right time, and then of course helping you build the processes that will help your business scale 2023 and beyond as well, from a marketing side, a sales side, service side, and an overall revenue operations holistic view to make sure that you're doing the things you need to do as a business to help you grow in the best way possible. And so that all of this admin, all of this looking through different kinds of fields, data sets, and doing connections of pipes in the background is something that you can rest easy knowing that it's happening perfectly and helping you, of course, focus on the things that are most important to your business. So with that said, and again, looking through all of these different kinds of things that we've talked about, from Fivetran to Snowflake to the entity diagrams, we know it's a lot to take in, and we will stop here. One, thank you so much for your time and attention. I know it's a lot of information to go through, but again, hopefully this gets you as excited as we are about the possibilities and how it can help your business. But in the last couple minutes that we have together, of course, if you haven't had the chance to ask a question or get your questions answered, please pop them in the chat. We want to make sure that we can get any answers towards you as you need. Or of course, you can continue to contact us afterwards, and we're always happy to help, set up quick calls, answer emails, and just make sure we can get you the information you need on how HubSpot, Fivetran, and the other systems can start playing together really well to help you make the most of your tech stack in 2023 and help you create those awesome customer experiences. Once again, I'm Ravi, joined by my colleague Tony over at Fivetran, and thank you so much for joining us today. Looking forward to your questions and looking forward to working with you going forward.